Welcome to episode 47.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Who Did That Voice, where we take an in-depth look at voiceovers.
It's a new year, and if you're like me, you were already thinking about warmer weather and taking that getaway to that tropical or exotic destination. Maybe you plan to travel to Walt Disney World or Universal Studios. No matter what kind of trip you plan, 3D Travel Company is the company for you. Just visit 3dtravelcompany.com and let them know that Trenton sent you from Who Did That Voice. Or you can book on www.whodidthatvoice.co and click the Book Now button. For a limited time, Who Did That Voice listeners can receive a Disney gift card for qualifying Disney and Universal trips booked and traveled by the end of 2017. Book today and travel away.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest is an actor, producer, coach, and creator of VO Peeps. A special thank you to her for being on the show, and a hey howdy do to her and all of those peeps out there at VO Atlanta. You guys have a great time. Wish I was there. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice. Today on the show we have Anne Ganguza joining us today. Anne, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, hey, it is an absolute honor to have you. I've been super blessed to have you permit my posts to be up on your page, and I really appreciate the support you've given me as I'm just trying to help, educate people in the community and those who might look at joining our community of voiceover someday.
Oh, fantastic. No, I love that. I mean, I love the resource that you're putting out there for the community, and I think we're very similar in those respects.
Absolutely. I do believe that. And the very first thing I always like to do when I have a special guest on the show for the very first time is to get a little background on who they are. So who was Anne growing up, and how did you get into acting, and more specifically, how did you get into voice acting, Anne?
Well, now there's a complex question. Who is Anne? Well, I think that if anybody knows me from my online presence, they probably know me, my authentic self. I try to be very authentic in who I am and what I love and what I'm passionate about. And I think as a little girl, I was always kind of a geek, always kind of a geek, and I did well in school, and that was always fun for me. I actually loved school. And so I used to teach my dolls. That was like something I did. And I find that as an adult, I'm coming back to those same passions as when I was a child. So being the geek that I was, I got involved in, school. I did well in school. I got involved in lots of like geeky extracurricular activities. I also I was a choir geek. Yeah. I sang choir. I won like the Betty Memorial Award in my high school for choir, best choir member. So I was like completely, and that was like a glee club for me. So I think that, the microphone, as soon as somebody would give me the microphone, I just turned it on. And I just found that I just came alive when I had a microphone. And then I went to college because I did well in school. I went to college for engineering. I got a degree in computer graphics engineering, which is not voiceover. Yeah. But I started off working for the corporate world for an orthopedic firm doing prosthetic knee and hip implants. So I would design them, and I had a great time doing that. Did that for 5 to 6 years and was really involved in computer graphics engineering and really loved the whole creative visual spatial thing. And then I got hired by the person that would be my boss for the next 18 years to work for a school. And he asked if I would teach computers at night. And I thought, well, I've never taught before. And I said, well, I love computers and I'm passionate about it. So let me teach. And so I started teaching night school and found that I absolutely loved teaching. And then I ultimately became full-time at the school. But not as a teacher, actually. I was teaching in that capacity, but I really had the best of both worlds because he hired me to be in his tech team in the IT department. So we were very fortunate at the time to have a really great budget for technology and IT. And we got to pretty much play. So if I was a geek and I loved technology, we had the money that we could buy equipment that would benefit the kids, of course, and really play around with the bleeding edge of technology. And I really, really found that I loved what I did for many years. I worked there for 18 years after that. And I taught night school. I taught during the day. I taught at night. Just found my love for teaching, found my love for technology. And towards the end of my career there, when voice over IP became big, I started installing voice over IP phone systems for people. And at the end of my installs, I would tell everybody that their phone system was ready and they just needed to record their greeting. And that's when everybody said, "Oh, no, you'll do that." By default, because I was the project manager, I was the one that recorded the welcome greeting and the menu tree and all that. And I found that I really, really loved it. And, after a while, people just, would call me up and say, "Wow, you're that voice on the phone system." And yeah, well, you sound really professional. So I thought maybe there's something to it. And I started looking into the industry. And there's actually like a career that, people use their voice and they get paid for it. So I started doing voiceover part-time while I worked in corporate IT. And just that's basically how I got my start. Did my due diligence, studied with a great coach, and got my first demo out there, started marketing myself part-time. And then when I moved to the West Coast in 2008, I decided, well, I'd been in IT for about 20 years and, kind of been there, done that, loved it, and was ready to just pursue voiceover full-time.
Well, that's fantastic, Ann. I really appreciate you diving into your background. And it sounds like you kind of fell into voiceover in essence, but it became a passion and a love of yours that was unexpected.
Absolutely. And I think more so, not even more so, but what's equal to that was the fact that I was my own boss. I mean, for, all my life I was working for somebody else. And while it was great to get a paycheck on a steady basis, when I moved out here and started, doing full-time voiceover, it became my own business. And that to me was so amazingly thrilling and challenging. And I found that I really just love the business aspect of working for myself. And now it's like, I don't think I could ever work for anybody again.
Oh, I totally understand that.
Yeah, with a lot of hard work and passion, though, it's become, it's my favorite thing to do. And I think that that's the way everybody should feel about their career.
Absolutely. Well, you ended up becoming an IT individual who went into voiceover and ended up realizing you were becoming an entrepreneur at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, nobody thinks about voiceover in terms of like voiceover entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's really, a lot of people just think of voiceover as voiceover, but I'm like, no, I'm a voiceover entrepreneur. How cool is that?
Absolutely.
Great. Although I'm a hard person to work for.
Well, and that's probably why you're so good at the marketing and branding that you teach, with your background as an actor and producer and coach, because, it really is, you're marketing yourself, you're branding yourself. And then sometimes when you learn those tools, you're able to go out and teach others about how to do the same thing and to duplicate your successes.
Yeah, absolutely. And my background in technology really, really helped. And so, I've been on the internet since, I don't want to date myself, but, before actually there was a web browser, I was on the internet, CompuServe, if you remember CompuServe.
I do.
Archie and Gopher. And I just have been an internet geek, like since the beginning of the internet. And I just, what I loved about it, and again, here comes the teacher, part in me, I think, coming out, is that I love the internet because it was just a wonderful network of people sharing resources, which interestingly enough, guess what I have now? A global networking group called VO Peeps, where we share resources. And, as we mentioned before, I think you and I think alike in terms of, creating resources that can be shared by others in this community. And it really gives us a sense of, I don't know, it just gives me a great feeling to be able to provide resources for other people and to help people out. And that's just kind of how I like to run my business.
Well, that is wonderful to hear, and I really do appreciate you sharing everything about your company in essence that you built. It is a company, isn't it, VO Peeps?
It is. It's like a side. It's one of my side companies. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, and with VO Peeps, where did that name end up coming from, Ann?
Well, interestingly enough, when I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, I didn't know anybody out here, and I was like, well, I really wanted, I missed teaching, and I wanted kind of a group to lead. And I had, when I first got out here, I ended up going and studying with, doing a couple of group workshops and taking classes. And I met a bunch of people that I became close friends with. And, one night after we had all finished our class, we decided we'd go out for dinner. And that's what kind of, prompted the idea to just have like a monthly kind of, well, we should go out to dinner every month and talk about how we're doing in voiceover. Because while we took voiceover lessons and I made a new demo when I got out here, it was kind of like, well, now what do we do? How do we, how do we get somebody to hire us? And
Yeah.
so, my group of friends became like this group of friends that we would continually see each other. And we decided to go out to dinner. We met at my house. We just did it on a monthly basis. And then I thought, wow, I could really make this into something bigger because I had had the experience. I had done distance education, distance learning, working for the school. And I thought, well, I know how to do this. And I get the internet and I could really make a difference. And that to me is what really attracted me to creating VO Peeps. And VO Peeps, because they were my friends, it originally started as a small group of friends. They were my peeps. And the VO Peeps after that.
That's awesome. I love where that originated from. It's fantastic. As far as VO Peeps name, so I guess you kind of answered that too, like why you started VO Peeps, but just kind of to kind of keep in touch with everyone and to network, which is a fantastic idea. And the name is so catchy and it is really cute.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. I'm really proud of my VO Peeps.
Was the VO Peeps thing before Twitter or was that after?
That was right before Twitter.
Right before Twitter. So you actually, you should talk to Twitter and say, hey, look, guys, you kind of took my thing. Okay.
maybe it was synonymous with Twitter.
It was synonymous.
I will tell you the bird, the bird also came out because that's my nickname.
Yeah.
That's my actual nickname before I was even in voiceover. It's a nickname my husband gives me. He calls me Bird. So and I love birds. Like this is just so not related to voiceover, but I love birds.
Fantastic.
I love this. And right now I'm hearing spring birds, and there's nothing like that makes me more happy than to hear spring birds singing. And so, VO Peeps, I love my peeps. I love my friends. I love birds. It all kind of just came together.
Well, you say it's not about voiceover, but the show isn't just about voiceover. It's about getting to know the insides and outsides of our special guests. So that's wonderful. It's a little tidbit maybe someone else hasn't had before.
Now everybody's going to call me Bird.
I will still call you Ann.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Ann, so what I want to know is, when you started VO Peeps, how quickly did it grow, or did it take time for it to grow?
Oh, good question. Actually, as I mentioned, it started off as a local group.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided that since I had had the experience, working in technology for all those years and, working with the internet, that I could really take it to a much larger scale and make it global by using the internet. And I thought to myself, well, this would be really cool. I could actually, not just meet with people physically here in my house, but I could, get everybody connected together on the internet. I had done some live video streaming back when I worked for the school, and I knew that the capability was out there. And so I did some research and I said, I can do this myself. And I remember VO Peeps, when I decided to go global, I just said, we're global. And it was like, I just manifested it. I want to say that I just said, we're a global networking group, and we are the only voiceover group that, will have their meetups online. And so it just became so. And it was kind of cool. People are like, wow, you're global, you're worldwide. And, and we grew into that. But, because I just had, at the time I just said, I want to make this global. I want to make these resources available to everybody because I have the technical know-how to do that. And that's basically, how it became. And I think in 2010, I decided to stream the first meetup live from my coffee table. So I decided, well, I'm going to have a group. We're going to be at the house, and then I'm going to ask somebody to speak that's in the industry because, this would be great. And then I can actually stream that live out on the internet. So in 2010, I became probably the only person I know at the time to stream a meetup with a guest director or a guest live on the internet.
Wow. I mean, so you were kind of a pioneer woman in that industry then.
I like to say that.
That's awesome. That is super amazing.
I like to think that I'm on the bleeding edge of technology. But interestingly enough, I did it with a laptop, and I will say to you that I did it with a Snowball microphone,
Wow.
the webcam. I mean, that's how simple it was.
Yeah.
to begin with. And then ultimately over the years, I expanded my technology, and now now part of my Peeps group is to, deliver educational resources and workouts to, people locally and globally. And I do that, now with a more expanded setup.
That's fantastic, Ann. I'm really glad to hear that. I mean, it's just some of the technology you're referencing shows how far your group has come and how far they have advanced. And I believe you started VO Peeps, you said in 2009 earlier when we were talking. Is that correct?
2009. Yep.
Okay. Wow. Well, that is awesome. So you guys are coming up on the 10-year anniversary here pretty quick.
It's just been an amazing ride, and I just love how we've progressed over the years, and we've just become a large group that just is able to connect and share resources. And I just, I couldn't be more proud, because we are, as voiceover artists, a lot of times we're isolated. I do a lot of my work from my home studio, and I don't get to see people. I'm not at the water cooler anymore. Well, my peeps are my water cooler, work buddies.
Yeah.
And so, the water cooler is, my Facebook group. So that is our water cooler, and we get to, kind of, get together and share things and share resources in that way. And so it really helps me to, to have joy in this career. Because if I were just me, sitting in my padded booth talking all day, it could get, a little crazy.
A padded room with a microphone.
Microphone. So I need to have a little bit of social. I need to be able to interact with other people, and VO Peeps was one way to do that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I know. I love socializing too. And, speaking of socializing, Ann, what is your social media so people can reach out to you, whether they have questions or they want to join VO Peeps, or how do they get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, thank you. VOpeeps.com. And I'm so excited because, as I was telling you right before we started the podcast, I just upgraded to my new VO Peeps website. Just got a new rebranding.
Super awesome.
My Peep is refreshed. And and I'm so excited, and I've got some really great opportunities available now to VO Peeps. So VOpeeps.com, and what I'm launching actually this week now is something called the VI Peeps Club Educational Membership. And what that does is it allows people to have access to my previous workout archives online through a private membership area. And so I have had, over the years, I've had the opportunity and the good fortune to have some amazing guest directors that are top-notch industry professionals for my workouts. And so VIP members will have access to that. And so I'm super excited to kind of launch that. And thank you. You just gave me a little platform to do that.
Hey, you're welcome.
This week, as well as, just my normal workouts, which I'm so excited this year. We've got some wonderful people coming up. Next month after VO Atlanta, I've got Dave Fenoy coming up as a guest director, Debbie Derryberry, Jody Gottlieb, Mark Cashman, oh my goodness, David Lawrence. So these people are coming up. I do a workout pretty much every month, and they're coming up live, so everybody will have an opportunity to join in with my hybrid class, which is you can come locally here to the VO Peeps headquarters in Irvine, or you can join us via Zoom room. And so I basically will have the classroom integrated. I have 3 cameras. I have, all different microphone sources. And so I really try to make the experience a truly educational, immersive experience, so that if you join via Zoom room or if you're here locally, you get the same experience. And it's a valuable experience where you can interact with both the guest director and with other members of the class. So I'm super proud to be able to offer that.
Well, it's very obvious that you're very passionate about what you do. I can hear it in your voice, and I love the enthusiasm you have, Ann.
Thank you.
I have a quick question for you. Talking about VO Peeps, do you give out peeps at your meetups?
When they're in season, yes. I give it candy. Absolutely.
I just was like, that is so iconic. I was like, I wonder if she does that, because I was like, that is, if she doesn't do it, she needs to, because that would just be funny. But aside from that, real quick, what is just a short piece of advice you would give to someone, Ann, who might look at joining the voiceover industry for themselves?
Oh my goodness. Wow. A short piece of advice. Let's see. Well, I would say that you really have to be passionate about it, and you really have to be motivated to be able to work not only the voiceover aspect of it, but the business aspect of it too. And I want to say in the beginning, it's so hard. There's so many people that are, kind of lured by the the glamour of, voiceover and the actual voiceover part of it. But in order for anybody to, you know, be able to hire you or find you, you have to be able to, have a little bit of business sense and to be able to market yourself out there. So as important as the voiceover is your business sensibility and the fact that you have to treat it as a business, because if you don't, then it's going to be just an expensive hobby.
Absolutely. I was kind of thinking about it, and we kind of talked a little bit about some of your different works. And real quick, I just wanted to kind of dive into that for a minute. I know you've done IVR and you've done on hold messaging. You've done PowerPoints, you've done international presentations, real estate virtual tours. I mean, some of the stuff that's listed, it's not as common as some of the other voiceover like animation and movies and those kind of things. And I love that you do such a diverse, different kinds of works in the industry, but they're so diverse and you do so many different types that even I wasn't as familiar with a few of them, like the real estate virtual tours, which I thought was like, wow, okay. Yeah. I didn't even think about that one before myself.
What's so amazing is that the voiceover industry is huge.
Yeah.
And it's not just commercial. It's not just animation. There's just, 90% of the market is narration based. And because I love to teach and I have such a passionate geeky love of telephony.
Yeah.
So I still, that's how I got involved in voiceover to begin with. And I still love doing voiceover for, telephone systems and menus. And so for me, it's about where my passion is. And
Yeah.
if I love to teach, well, then why wouldn't I love to do e-learning voiceover? It all really comes down to what you're passionate about. And I think that if you can find that niche market in voiceover with, where you truly enjoy it, then it's not like work. And so where other people may think that a medical narration with really hard, complex words is boring and dry, I love it. you know, Give me a harder word, give me a longer word, and I love it. And telephony, I know you don't want to hear my voice. I know that, I call up customer service all the time too, and I want a live person. But if you can't have a live person, the next best thing is me. And I'm gonna be like that person. And I'm actually like, I know I'm just a message, but I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And so I love that challenge. And believe it or not, that's my own little character. That's my animation is, understanding that my voice on that phone, nobody really wants to hear it, but I can work you out of that. I can talk you out of that with kindness and warmness and, friendliness. And that just makes my day. That little challenge makes my day.
Just
That
try to make
challenge
it the most, just trying to make it the most enjoyable experience possible.
Well, and that's what I tell all my students, because I coach as well. And I tell my students that, no matter what the copy is, you have to be able to engage your listener.
Yeah.
And, there's all different types of copy. And so it's up to you. And that's where the challenge is. And that's where, what I find to be, just exhilarating is that, what is it in the copy that, what are you saying? What are you talking about? And how are you going to engage, your listener in this, today's age of, chaotic information that is just thrown at us at 100 billion miles an hour and we're half listening. How can I get your attention? And that to me, teaching my students that and how to analyze the copy, how to really be in a conversational, engaging tone that's going to, make somebody listen to you. That is just an awesome thing to me. It's an awesome challenge to me. And I thrive on that. I thrive on that. I can't do anything boring. I'm which is why IT, I tell people, it was a great job for me for 20 years because I was always solving problems.
Yeah.
And voiceover artists, creatively, you're solving problems and you've got lots of challenges, not only in voiceover, but in your business.
Very true. Very true. Well, Anne, I have just two final questions for you, and we will wrap this interview up.
Mm-hmm.
The first of the two is, what was your favorite cartoon character or cartoon from growing up, and why?
Oh my goodness. Oh, so my favorite cartoon character. Oh, gee. Let's see. Probably, I don't know. I watched a lot of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and I'm just trying to think who else was my favorite character. Just because I'm a Disney fan.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah, a big Disney fan. And why? I just, I'm dating myself. I mean, that's what was on. and and it just made me happy. I just remember watching on Saturday mornings with my bowl of cereal, cross-legged on the floor, and it just was one of my favorite things to do as a child. And so that brought me joy. And so that's probably why.
That's awesome. Well, Ann, thank you so much for sharing that with us. My final question for you today is, what is the legacy you want to leave behind?
Oh, excellent question. I want to be able to make a difference. I just, that is so, so very important to me, that I want to be able to have an impact on other people's lives. And I think that for me, that calling comes with, my passion as an educator and, my VO peeps, and being able to help other people in the community and provide a resource. And one thing that I did want to mention too about VO peeps is, that I think is super important, is that I also have a scholarship fund that I introduced in 2012, because our group was so large that I thought that this is the point where, if you are responsible for a group of people that becomes a very large group of people, that you then have an additional responsibility to give back to the community. So I started the Career Education Scholarship Fund, which is near and dear to my heart. And so every year we give out multiple scholarships. So you can always check out VO Peeps to find out, the newest scholarship. As a matter of fact, this year we are sponsoring 3 people going to VO Atlanta. So I'm really excited about that. And since 2012, we've given out over $31,000 worth of scholarships to needy people in the voiceover industry.
Wow, that is amazing, Ann. I'm really impressed with everything you've talked with me about and everything I researched, and it's just fantastic to speak with you. You have such a wonderful voice, and you're so sweet and kind, and it's amazing that you've been able to give back to the community, and you are most welcome. And
Yes.
it's just wonderful to hear somebody like you who's taken their passions and dreams, turned it into a reality, and then turned around and helped others' dreams come true too. So
Well, same to you. I mean, I really appreciate what you're doing here for the community, and offering up these podcasts. And I support you 100%. Will always promote you in my group. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. It kind of started about 5 or 6 years ago when I went to Cliff Zellman's meetup group in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we became friends and kept in touch. And just, it's amazing how friends from years and years ago can impact your life today. It's just,
Absolutely.
you never know. You never know. So, but Ann, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show today. Would you give us a closeout today as we end today's episode?
A closeout. Oh, thank you, God. Just thank you so much. And just, come on over to VO Peeps, join the group, join the fun. I love my peeps, and I'll do anything that I can to help you out in this industry that I love so much.
I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode with Ann Ganguza. And if you did, please stop on by my Facebook or Twitter page by searching Who Did That Voice? I'd love to hear from you. A question you might ask yourself is, where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us this Friday for our next special guest, Bill Ratner, the voice of Flint from G.I. Joe. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.